What if I told you that the man who defined American masculinity, the quiet cowboy hero we all admired, was living a secret life Hollywood never dared show? A life of love, betrayal, and hidden heartbreak. And some of the most famous names of the era were involved. Gary Cooper. Just saying the name brings up images of rugged cowboys, moral heroes, and that unmistakable calm confidence. But behind the clean-cut smile and tall, commanding presence was a man. If you've followed Hollywood over the years, stay until the end. You'll be amazed by a secret from back then. A man whose private life was far more complicated than any movie plot. For decades, Hollywood whispered rumors, but now hidden notes and alleged memoirs paint a story of desire, heartbreak, and secrets so explosive they could rewrite the legend of one of America's most beloved stars. And it all starts with the boy from Montana who never meant to be famous. Gary Cooper was born in 1901 in Helena, Montana. Picture a vast ranch, endless skies, and a boy learning to ride horses with the kind of confidence that would later make him the quintessential cowboy hero on the big screen. His father was a respected judge, his mother a woman of refinement and culture, and from them, he inherited both discipline and a quiet sense of dignity. He wasn't destined for Hollywood. In fact, he dreamt of being an artist, sketching the world as he saw it. A car accident changed everything. Suddenly, the boy with a paintbrush was forced to leave college, pack his bags, and head west to Los Angeles, where fate had something very different in store. Arriving in Hollywood in the 1920s, Cooper was just another extra, a stuntman, a face in the crowd. But the camera had a strange way of noticing him. He had something rare, a natural charisma, a presence that felt honest, unpretentious, magnetic. By 1926, in the silent film The Winning of Barbara Worth, people began whispering his name. And when talking pictures arrived, Cooper didn't falter like so many others. He adapted seamlessly. He was unlike anyone else on screen, soft-spoken, understated, yet every gesture carried emotion. You didn't just watch Gary Cooper act, you felt him. By the 1930s, he wasn't just another actor, he was the actor. From Mr. Deeds Goes to Town to Sergeant York, audiences fell in love with a man who could embody both humility and heroism. But for every scene of bravery and integrity, there was a private life no one could imagine, a life full of temptation, desire, and choices that would haunt him for decades. In 1933, Gary married Veronica "Rocky" Balfe, a woman who could have had Hollywood but chose family instead. She was elegant, poised, and from New York high society, a devout Catholic with connections to the MGM elite. Their wedding was celebrated in the press, a fairy tale Hollywood moment. They had one daughter, Maria, and for a while, life seemed picture perfect. But the Hollywood glare rarely lets perfection last. Behind the scenes, Cooper's reputation as a ladies' man began to grow. Whispers of affairs, secret rendezvous, and forbidden passions circulated quietly among insiders, though the public saw only a devoted family man. The most dangerous of these relationships was with actress Patricia Neal, a woman nearly 25 years younger than him. Their affair was passionate, scandalous, and emotionally intense. Neal reportedly would have given up everything for him, her career, her ambitions, her independence. Cooper was torn between his love for Neal, his duty to his wife, and the deep moral values he tried to live by. By 1951, the strain was too much. Cooper moved out, leaving a devastated Rocky behind, yet he refused to divorce her, not just for appearances, but for their daughter. He feared losing Maria's love and respect, worried about the spiritual consequences of breaking his vows, and carried a private guilt heavier than any award or accolade he ever earned. But as dramatic as this sounds, even this was only the surface. Patricia Neal. The name alone, whispered in Hollywood corridors like a secret too dangerous to say out loud. Cooper's relationship with her wasn't a simple fling. It was a tempest. She was young, brilliant, and completely enamored with him, willing to risk everything for their love. Cooper, despite his stoic screen image, found himself caught in a storm of desire and guilt. Every stolen moment with Neal brought passion and devastation. The Hollywood elite knew about it quietly. Tabloids hinted at it cautiously, and yet the public continued to see Gary Cooper as the embodiment of dignity and restraint. By 1951, the tension became unbearable. Cooper moved into a separate residence. The marriage with Rocky officially strained, but not ended. Neal was heartbroken, but Cooper's mind was consumed by his daughter Maria. He could not, would not, risk the bond they shared. His private diary, if it's to be believed, reveals a man tormented, torn between love, morality, and his family obligations. And yet, there was another side to Cooper's life, darker and even more shocking than his affair with Neal. Years after his death, a rumored memoir draft surfaced, a document that shook Hollywood insiders to their core. It allegedly contained a list of 7 male stars Cooper had been involved with, only to later grow to resent or even hate. The names read like a who's who of Hollywood legend: Cary Grant, Rock Hudson, Randolph Scott, Anthony Perkins, Montgomery Clift, Tab Hunter, and James Dean. Each story is said to reveal a side of Cooper that the public never knew. A man craving connection but constantly confronted by secrecy, jealousy, and heartbreak. Cary Grant, for example, was suave, charming, seemingly perfect. But Cooper wrote that Grant ended their connection abruptly after being spotted by gossip columnists, leaving him feeling abandoned. Rock Hudson was described as a Greek statue, but Cooper felt the younger actors' need to hide their bond was a form of cowardice. Each relationship carried passion, but also resentment, like fire and ice intertwined, leaving emotional scars no one could see. These alleged revelations paint a portrait of a man who, for all his on-screen bravery, was profoundly human in his private life, conflicted, secretive, and deeply affected by love and loss. Hollywood was glamorous, but behind the lights, Cooper's life was full of secret rivalries. Randolph Scott, another Western legend, was not just a co-star, he was a complicated figure in Cooper's private world. Allegedly, their off-screen relationship began with deep camaraderie, but soon turned tense, fueled by jealousy over roles, fame, and even the affections of mutual acquaintances like Cary Grant. Cooper reportedly felt betrayed when Scott was cast in parts he coveted. "I didn't just lose a role, I lost a reason to trust," he allegedly wrote. The combination of passion, ambition, and secrecy created emotional minefields. Every relationship Cooper held, whether romantic or professional, carried the weight of Hollywood's hidden pressures. He craved intimacy, but was constantly reminded that fame demanded isolation, and that even those closest to him could not be fully trusted. And then came the younger generation whose fire and intensity would both captivate and torment him. Anthony Perkins, Montgomery Clift, Tab Hunter, James Dean. These men were young, vibrant, and utterly different from the quiet, stoic Hollywood figures Cooper had known. Each represented a different type of connection, a reflection of desires he could never openly express. Perkins, shy and intellectual, drew Cooper in, reminding him of the man he once was before Hollywood devoured him. But fear of exposure drove Perkins away, leaving Cooper feeling used and abandoned. Montgomery Clift's raw emotional intensity mirrored Cooper's own inner turmoil, but Clift's struggles with trauma and addiction dragged Cooper into darkness he didn't want to face. Tab Hunter, bright and boyish, appeared at a time Cooper was seeking comfort more than connection. Their brief fling allegedly ended in bitterness when Cooper believed Hunter leaked their secret to gossip columnists, and James Dean, the fiery rebel, captured Cooper's imagination with a wild, untamed spirit. But Dean's recklessness and untimely death left Cooper frustrated and heartbroken, robbed of closure or the chance to reconcile feelings in person. These alleged relationships filled with passion, secrecy, and resentment show a side of Cooper Hollywood never knew, a man haunted by desire, guilt, and the impossibility of living openly in a world obsessed with appearances. By the late 1950s, Gary Cooper's health began to fail. Prostate cancer quietly spread through his body, yet he kept working, kept performing, and kept most of his secrets hidden. Those who knew him personally saw a man transformed, once the image of rugged strength and quiet confidence, now frail but still dignified, carrying decades of love, loss, and regret in his eyes. Rocky, his wife, stood steadfastly by his side, the woman he had once nearly lost and who had endured the storms of his infidelity, became his anchor in the most challenging years of his life. Their daughter Maria remained his pride, the reason he never fully abandoned his moral compass despite the chaos surrounding him. Even in private, Cooper's life was a complex tapestry of passion, secrecy, and redemption. Those rumored relationships, the love affairs, the betrayals, and even the regrets, they all shaped the man behind the legend, a man who had to navigate desire, loyalty, and fame with few allies he could truly trust. Gary Cooper passed away in 1961 at just 60 years old, leaving behind a Hollywood legacy that still shines brightly. On screen, he was the embodiment of integrity, courage, and understated heroism. Off-screen, he was human, vulnerable, conflicted, and carrying emotional burdens no audience ever glimpsed. The alleged secret list of lovers, the whispered scandals, the heartbreaks, and the rivalries, whether fully true or partially embellished, reveal a universal truth. Even legends are human, and even heroes have private storms. Cooper's story reminds us that behind every silver screen smile is a life complicated by desire, regret, and sacrifice. He may have been Hollywood's ideal man, but he was also a man shaped by love, guilt, and secrecy. A story more compelling than any role he ever played. And perhaps that's why, decades later, we still can't look away. Because the real drama was never on the screen. It was lived in silence, in shadows, and in the heart of Gary Cooper himself. And if you thought Gary Cooper's secrets were shocking, stay tuned. Because Hollywood's golden age was full of stories even stranger than the movies themselves.